Hello everybody and welcome to the What's On podcast. This is episode 15. My name is Zachary.
My name is Matt.
And today we are going to be talking about some of the best films of the 2000s period. One thing I was actually thinking about the other day was, now that we're in the 2020s, like, this is what's going to be called the 20s now.
Yeah.
It's like, and then it's going to like progress like that. So it's going to be, these are the 20s. Next year's going to be next decade is going to be the 30s. Slightly depressing.
Makes you feel old.
It is. Anyway, random thought. News for the week. Going into movie stuff. Do you want to kick us off?
The other day Netflix tweeted they've announced some casting for season 2 of The Witcher.
Lovely.
The most interesting one that stood out is Christopher. I don't know how to pronounce it, but it's Christopher Hivju. He was the actor that played Tormund from Game of Thrones. He's been casted.
Yeah.
Everyone, I saw some of the replies to the tweets, and everyone was saying, "Where's the Mark Hamill announcement?"
For Vesemir. Because you've watched the TV series, haven't you?
I've watched the series.
Because I don't know who he's playing. The actor's I don't know. The actor's playing.
Either.
I know his name, but I've not read the books, and I know the series is mostly based off the books, not the games.
Yeah.
We've brought this up tons of times, but so I know I've seen his character name, but I don't know it. A couple that I've seen, which I'm excited for. Again, I don't know the actors because they seem to be at least actors that I've not known about. Yeah. But two characters that are coming in are called Lambert and what's he called? And Eskel. They're big characters, or relatively big characters in the games, or at least and I really enjoyed their characters, so I'm looking forward to their portrayals, however the actors do it, because I don't know the actors, but I'm looking forward to them being in the season 2. And as you say, Mark Hamill as Vesemir as the teacher would be amazing.
It would be amazing, but I've seen people saying apparently he was offered the role, but he said no to it. I don't. That could be completely false. But I've seen rumours about saying he's declined it.
I'd be gutted if he did, because I think he showed interest in it when it was all bringing up. So I don't know.
Yeah, that could be, take that with a pinch of salt. It could be completely false.
But I think that'd be really good. So again, big fans of The Witcher on this podcast, but excited for that. So in a few weeks, brought up a game series called Uncharted, which is a bit like Lara Croft. That's meant to start, after so many delays, that's meant to start filming in about 4 weeks in Berlin, with Tom Holland playing the titular character as a younger version of the game series character, as like an origin story. So I'm looking forward to that.
But interesting.
But
the Uncharted games were one thing I always played, but never. Everyone else always seemed to enjoy it. I never really enjoyed it as much as everyone else did. Don't get me wrong, they were fantastic games, but I never quite clicked with them.
Did you play the second one?
Yeah.
Oh, because the second one was amazing, and the fourth one was great as well. Yeah. But the fourth one wasn't. The second one was amazing because of like the innovations they made at the time. Yeah. Like I think it was like the first game that did a level on a moving platform, because you did a level on a moving train. Yeah. I think it was like the first time in gaming history that at that point they'd done that. And then number 4 was great as well because of. They had a new, bigger, like they had the console, PS4 console, to do all the good stuff on it. But anyway, so that's happening in about 4 weeks. Sonic the Hedgehog, that movie came out over this last week, and it's done all right. It's had the biggest opening box office of any video game movie, so to speak, at 57 million. Yeah, pretty much.
It's not been too bad. Not my cup of tea again, but
I actually ended up. I actually watched it because someone actually uploaded it all to YouTube. It's definitely a kids, more of it on the kids side movie, but it can be enjoyed by people who are fans of the series, and they have been quite like loyal to all the things, with a few additions. And I think Jim Carrey did Robotnik or Eggman really well. Yeah, because he's got that manic energy.
I've got interesting piece of news that personally I'm very excited about. I saw a Instagram post from Jennifer Aniston, who plays Rachel from Friends. The picture of
from what series?
Friends.
Never heard of it. Carry on.
Announcing they're officially going to do a reunion.
Now, like, this is one that I'm having to limit my hype for because of the wording of which this has been published. They've announced it as... So I'll just go into, like, do you want to explain it or do you want me...
No, you go.
So they've announced that for HBO Max, which is the new HBO streaming service, they're going to make this Friends special reunion episode with all the original acts, so Matthew Perry, David Schwimmer, Jennifer Aniston, etc., are all going to appear on this hour special. But it's being called an unscripted, something hour-long reunion episode, but nothing explicitly saying whether it's just a sit around the table having a natter about the series, like the actors and actresses just talking about the series as a reunion episode, or if it's actually going to be a continuation of the series for one episode. And that's why I'm like limiting excitement for it, because that's not been stated.
I believe I don't think they'd announce it like in the way that they have done if it was just the actors and actresses sat around talking about the series.
You say that, but they've done it before. They did it a couple of years ago.
I don't know. It just feels different this time.
I'm hoping. I'm crossing fingers.
Every part of me wants to believe it's going to be a proper episode. But then again, the pressure on it is so unreal for it to be a success.
But I think anything that they do will be a success. Although it's like all the normal episodes are like 20 minutes for it, so an hour one would be pretty immense considering the describing it as unscripted.
It would have to,
which is why I'm also thinking it's going to be some interview kind of thing.
Maybe.
Cross fingers not.
I hope not.
I do know they're apparently getting paid $4 million each for it, which is not bad for not bad for an hour service.
Not bad for an hour's work. Jesus.
Not to get political, but here I go. Was Donald Trump mentioning like how could Parasite win the Oscar for Best Picture when it's a South Korean film? And I was just like, oh, sod off, you friggin' blonde git. Like, it's a great film, and it bugged me. So I wanted to bring it up because it bugged me, and I was annoyed. Parasite, still not seeing it, even though I've mentioned it on the last 5 or 6 concurrent episodes. But no, it's a great film. It's won Best Picture, and it should be taken for what it is, a great film. Anything else on movies?
I do, actually. It's a bit of an interesting piece of news. It's about regarding Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you've mentioned it or seen it before in previous episodes, but there's apparently they've got a new Star Wars project, and the guy who's directing it is called J.D. Dillard.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently he's only ever directed 2 feature-length films before.
Interesting.
And they know nothing about what it is. They know nothing about the film, or even if it's going to be a film. But also the most interesting part about this piece of news is it's going to be the first Star Wars, anything branded Star Wars to be released on Disney Plus.
Interesting. Well, apart from the Mandalorian, I guess.
Yeah. Apart from that, that's what apparently I've heard.
Yeah.
Again, not sure on this reliability. But something I saw the other day which I thought was a bit interesting.
Yeah.
There's a lot of trust.
One, I think I saw in gaming, which was quite a small thing, but I found hilarious. On Twitter was there's a game coming out this year called The Last of Us 2, which is obviously the sequel to The Last of Us. And it's one of the most hyped games, I think, this year.
Oh, God,
if not the top, it's between that and what's it called? Cyberpunk 2077. It's between those two biggest hype.
More hype than that.
It's different audiences, isn't it? It's difference between like Naughty Dog and The Last of Us, which are on, and The Witcher 3, which we're on top of like the series that came out. I think they're battling it out between the most hype for this year. But he was taking the mick on Twitter a bit because I can't remember what date it was, but The Last of Us 2 was originally dated for within this last week or so. So on the day of it, he tweeted something like that. I've got the feeling I'm missing something today, and on loads of people like replying back saying you're breaking my heart, Neil. And all this. I just found that quite funny. You have anything else in news?
No, that's me done for news.
One thing that has nothing to do with movie, TV, or anything we normally talk about on this, but a guy called Larry Tesla's died, and he's nothing to do with like movies or anything like that. He was a chief scientist at Apple, and I want to thank him for his work because he's the guy who apparently invented the Control-C, Control-P functions, which are the control and paste options.
I saw that.
So, and the cut option. So from university students and office workers and computers workers all across the world, we thank you for your service. I don't know what we'd do without that.
No.
Okay, so onto the main stuff. We're going to go through, not everyone because there's tons in the 2000s. Going to go through some ones that we either really enjoyed, some really great films of the 2000s, and then if there's anything that we miss, we can always do part 2 at some other point.
Yeah, I was going to say I've got a list of all the ones I noticed, all of my memorable ones.
So, do you want to go on to a favourite of yours? Or?
I will kick things off with an interesting one. Iron Man, 2008.
Yep.
Really the start of where the whole Marvel's popularity, the beginning of
kicked off on the whole MCU.
Yeah.
That was it. But yeah.
That was right back at the start.
But yeah, it was Robbie Downey Jr. just like started, like he's like the godfather of like the whole MCU. So it's like,
it was the rise of his popularity, really, wasn't it? I'd say.
I mean, I've not read too much about his previous. I know he did a lot of acting, then obviously he had issues, and then came his big thing after it was coming back as Iron Man, and that, like you say, it's kicked off the entire MCU, which is now this multi-billion dollar franchise, and has become such an iconic part of like films. I mean, we've had several podcast episodes. Had it one just on Marvel, but about stuff we go to the cinema. Like half the films are now superhero films. Like then it's also to do with how they look. Like beforehand, like what did we have? We had like Batman and Robin, where it was like these camp like suits and very odd. It was very comedic wise. There was a couple.
It was a completely different image to what it is now.
Yeah, now all the superheroes are jacked to hell, and superhero
it's a lot more serious. I would say a lot more action
and superheroines as well. Now that like Captain Marvel, Black Widow, all that. So yeah, definitely a very big instigator in like the 2000s. Like kicked a lot of stuff off in the 2010s.
Yeah, it was 2008, I believe.
I'll go along the same lines with another superhero one, which I'd be surprised if isn't on your list, is The Dark Knight. Yeah. Again, 2008.
That's actually the next one on my list.
Now, this, for me, unless I'm forgetting one, is probably what I consider the best superhero movie ever made up to now. Or at least in the top 3. Like, it was just such a good film, and it was also one that sort of...
Yeah, I'm struggling to think of... There's no one single film, superhero film, springs to mind that I think, that's better than that I can't think of one.
I mean, Joker probably is a competitor, but the difference I find with Joker is it's more of a true story based off a comic book character. Like that's a film like about mental illness and all that, and it becomes the character. This was a superhero film, but this one sort of broke in. Like obviously, Iron Man in the same year, they were both in 2008. Iron Man was the one that kicked off the whole Marvel stuff, but I think this was the first one. I know Batman Begins everyone enjoyed, and I really enjoyed.
A bit of an honourable mention to Batman Begins, 2005.
But I think Dark Knight was the first one that like cracked Hollywood, so to speak, saying that. These superhero films aren't just this side film that kids or nerds can enjoy. This can be a serious film that everyone can enjoy, and it's one of the best films of that year. And obviously, like Heath Ledger won the posthumous Oscar for it as well. but it was amazing performances in it. One of the best films of that year, and superheroes in general, really, isn't it? Go.
My next one on the list is a bit out there. It's very, very old. Gladiator. The Russell Crowe.
Definitely.
Russell Crowe's portrayal of a character. I don't know if anyone knows. I'm quite into history. Did a history degree, so it's.
But I mean, it's actually a funny one because Gladiator is actually my favourite film. Like, I've watched it so many times, and like people who don't know, because this came out in 2000, didn't it?
Yeah.
So Gladiator was Russell Crowe, who was the general of like a Roman army, and then he was betrayed by the son of the emperor, who the son of the emperor kills his dad, effectively, in order to take over, and banishes and tries to kill the general, who then comes back, gets put into like slavery, and becomes a gladiator, and it follows that story as he's trying to seek vengeance. Because that son of the emperor, who then has become the emperor, has killed his family. But it's an amazing film. Won the Oscar for Best Picture. Has some of the greatest music in it as well.
I rewatched it a couple, 2-3 weeks ago maybe, and I saw it. I was looking for a film to watch. I saw it. I was like, it's old, but it's such a good film. Yeah,
it's one of my favourites, especially that final scene. Like, it's 20 years ago. I can't really be much spoiler film, even if say, but like during the end part, as he's like dying, that music that goes with it, is going to. I think it's Enya who sings it. So it's like, it was just such an amazing scene.
Yeah.
And a lot of practical effects because obviously that time period, but it's very authentic, very. Although a funny thing is, like, the Roman emperors never did that, like, thumbs down stuff. They put the hand out and they put it thumbs up, but they never did the thumb. Or apparently, according to like historians of that era, they never did the thumbs down thing. And I think that came from a painting or something like that, which depicted like an emperor pointing the hand down in a gladiator pit, and I think that's where it came from. But I think that's a myth. Yeah, great film.
It is.
One that I don't know if you might not have seen this one. Is called Memento. This is a film by Christopher Nolan, who just loves messing with normal stuff. And in this one, it's one of the only films, I've not seen any other one that's done it, is filmed in reverse chronological order, which means it shows. I'll start from simpler ways, actually. It's about a guy who can't make any new memories.
Right.
So he has his memories and he has tattoos over his body that tells him various things.
Right. And
after so much period of time, I think it's only a few hours, he can't remember what's just happened.
Right.
And it can be instantaneous. Like a scene in it is being chased, someone shooting a gun at him, he hides somewhere, he peeks out and sees someone with a gun and he doesn't remember why he's chasing him.
Right.
But because of that, he did something interesting, which was he filmed in reverse chronological order.
Right.
So it starts with the end. So it starts with him killing someone, I think it is, I think it's him killing someone.
Right.
And then you go backward. As the film progresses, you move backwards through time and seeing how it led up to that point.
Interesting.
And it all works with him not being able to remember it all. But it's really interesting filmmaking and a really great film. And obviously finishes at the start of it, and then you can think of it all the way backwards again. But it's a really interesting film to watch. And a marvel of filmmaking, really.
Talking of that, my next one that I'm going to go for is Avatar.
The Last Airbender.
No. I remember when Avatar came out, the whole new thing about going to cinema in 3D.
Yeah.
And it's been such a long time. When you think about it, 2009.
Yeah.
I've got it down as.
And we're still waiting for 2, 3, 4, and 5.
Apparently, whether we'll actually ever get there is another question.
Well, 2 quotation marks with my fingers. 2 comes out next year, doesn't it? Apparently.
They've given the date. They've given the year, sorry. They said next year, but they haven't given a specific...
Yeah. But anyway, sorry, carry on with...
I just think you've got to mention Avatar, really.
It was and still is a marvel of filmmaking, in the fact that he had to take... I think he took like 50... I don't know how long. I'm just guessing, really. But over 10 years that he delayed making it because the technology wasn't available to do what he did with it. And it's still a marvel. And it was, I think... It was the one that cemented 3D as well, in good and bad ways, because a lot of films I found after that went 3D because it was there and he didn't really need it, and they just did it to hike the price up. I didn't really see too many good 3D films. Like, that one was one, and do you remember Journey to the Centre of the Earth? With the guy from The Mummy.
Oh, yeah.
What's he called? Brendan Fraser. That was a really good one, because I think that was like their first proper like 3D film. So everything was done in 3D, not just some random bird that flies through the screen. This was like every other scene there was something coming out the screen, and that was really well done.
See, the problem with me in 3D is I don't particularly enjoy it. I'm probably your number one critic you'll find on 3D films. I'll purposely will not see a film in 3D. Never have. Not even Avatar. I didn't even see Avatar in 3D. Still haven't, and I won't do it.
Well, you probably won't happen now.
Well, no, but actually, no, that's a lie. No, that's a lie. I saw it normal 2D, and then I saw it in 3D, and I just didn't see the appeal.
And it was an interesting technology at the time, but we have gotten tired of it, like quotation marks. Like, some people still enjoy it. Because
when you go to a cinema now, you don't think, "Oh, I'll go see it in 3D."
I don't think does 3D stuff happen nowadays. Don't know if it's died off a bit. Does it?
I believe so.
In fairness, I don't go to the cinema that often. Like, only for a couple of films.
I believe so. I don't think. But do you know what I mean? Like, when you go to the cinema, you don't think, "Oh, I'll go see that one in 3D." Because I can. No, you don't. No one thinks to do it.
On a separate note, I think TVs are going a bit mental, aren't they? Like 3D television or a curved television.
Oh, yeah.
Or like
4K UHD.
Like a television that's going to like curl around your sofa. It's,
I don't mind the curved TVs, but like...
Well, it's... Yeah.
It's a TV is a TV.
A weird one for me that I oddly enjoyed, and will never watch again probably, apart from probably showing to my eventual kids, is when they're old enough. It's called Requiem for a Dream. Have you heard of this? So Requiem for a Dream is an odd one because it's about four people who are abusing various drugs. So one's overdose, like one's got an addiction to like diet pills, two are doing heroin, one's doing cocaine, I think, or meth. I can't remember what it is, but it's a story of them all going down this addiction pathway, and it's not a happy film. It's definitely not a happy film. It doesn't have a happy. Well, it's not a good. It's not a cheery film.
How cheery can a film be? Yeah. Like that?
But what it does not shy away from anything. It shows the actual effects. It's showing this is what happens. These are people ruining their lives because of this addiction of different ones, like just diet pills, like someone again so obsessed, and the effects of it. And the reason I want to bring it up because I hate drugs, but it's one that I know I'll eventually show to like kids and like saying that. Okay, so if you ever want to get tempted by drugs, I'm going to show you this film first.
You're going to be that guy that goes round to like colleges and goes. So when you go to uni kids, you might get tempted by drugs. However, before you do, watch this film.
Yeah. I'd like that to I'm not like a preachy person. I don't care what people do, and but it would just be like, kids, you're watching this first before you do anything. Like, and then I'm still going to give you a jip afterwards. I don't really I wouldn't really go around everywhere and go. I'm not a person to go and judge people. I'm the least judgmental person ever. But that sort of stuff, it's just I can imagine me doing that when I get older. Just you're watching this. But yeah,
interesting mention.
Carry on.
And on that note, I'm going to go for a very light-hearted one next.
Thank God.
Cheer the mood
bring the mood up a little bit.
Bring the mood up for a bit. 2004, Shaun of the Dead.
I forgot about that one.
What a film.
Good old.
God.
So do you want to have a quick rundown of what it is for people who might not know? Because we've got a few Americans, so they may not have even heard of Shaun of the Dead.
Just very light-hearted film. It's a light-hearted zombie film, really. I don't really know how you describe it.
Because it's a very British film, isn't it?
Because
it's
humour in it is very British.
Because it's Sean Penn, who you'll know probably everyone knows from Hot Fuzz and many other things. Star Trek, for instance. Yeah. He's a Scotty. Is he Scotty?
He was in the new Star Trek.
Yeah, Star Trek. I think he's Scott. I think his name's Scotty. I can't remember off the top of my head, but
being Scotty.
Yeah, everyone will know who he is. But he made this film, and it's a parody on zombie films. It is a zombie film in itself, but it's adding British humour in there as well, and it's a funny film, and it's part of his Cornetto trilogy, as he calls it, which is that Hot Fuzz, which is the one with the police, all with Nick something. It's part. It's Nick something, I think, and I think it's End of the Effing World. I think the third one is.
Yeah, the one where they go to all the pubs.
Yeah. But sarcasm, all the good stuff in there, and really funny film.
Just a general all-around light-hearted, funny film.
Yeah. The one he enjoyed, which won the decade, Lord of the Rings. You can't really and that's the overarching as well, because it was 2001 to 2003 or 4. So Fellowship, I don't even know how to say it really. Lord of the Rings, everyone knows it.
Everyone knows the trilogy.
All through the films, amazing. Did probably the best book adaptation there's ever been. Amazing films, all practical effects pretty much. Obviously some obviously didn't have a physical Sauron's eye in this game, but a lot of it was practical effects because of the age it was in.
Yeah. I don't know out of the three of them. I don't know which one I would say enjoyed the most. I don't think I could call a favourite out of the three of them. I lean towards the Two Towers.
Yeah, a lot goes on in the Two Towers. I think that's the most interesting. I could rewatch Fellowship over and over and over again. Two Towers is going in for the action and everything, and then but Fellowship I could rewatch over and over again. The other two would probably be. It's funny. I'd only really watch the other two if it was a binge session. Yeah, I just want to watch all three of them again. And I did it properly. My granddad had the extended.
Oh, I know we've got them as well.
Director's cut edition, which is 3 hours and 40 minutes out, 40 minutes each. Which is proper. Which is also funny when it like comes up on telly, just like they've missed them.
It's like insert disc 2. It's like A.
I know. That's like one film. But like watching on TV and like ITV, it's like one, it's all cut down and then it's cut down again for adverts. It's like they're missing half the film.
It's the worst thing when you see like ITV showing Lord of the Rings. It's like, well, you know it's got adverts, so then you see the time that they've allotted to the film, and it's like 5 hours. It's like Jesus Christ! It's like an hour's worth of adverts.
It's so long.
It's like,
you want to go for the next one?
Yeah, bit of an out there one. Gladiator, Inglourious Bastards, 2009.
Very good one.
I enjoyed that film. You know, again, history.
Yep. This was one we brought up a couple of weeks ago when we talked about Scorsese films, and like Inglourious Bastards was one of the best films that he's made and one of the best films of that decade. Such great. Hans Landa, one of the best characters of the decade.
I don't know. For obviously such a controversial topic. You know, Nazis. Pretty much anything to do with Nazis is always going to be heavily reviewed. for obvious reasons.
But it's interesting though to do with like. I think we've gone like we're still in a very marred phase, like with culture. Like everyone's a bit marred about something, but I think we've just gone a step past. Like I think these last 2 years, everyone's been super marred. Like anything slightly bad or slightly thing, you're just going to get absolutely slammed.
I've seen people use the phrase "the snowflake era."
Yes.
Quite a lot.
Like the Me Too stuff, like that started off as something positive, and then just people like took it too far. Well, they used it to target people. That's where it went. That's where it went above the line, when it went to target people for things that they did 20 years ago, which was like a tweet that they did that was not who they are now. That was when it was just like, this is getting stupid. That's my opinion, at least. Like, Matt might have a different opinion, but that's my opinion, that they went a bit iffy with it. But I think now it's a bit less mad, and the reason why I bring all that up is because we had Jojo Rabbit the end of last year, which was a comedy set in Nazi Germany, which I was surprised already that was being made. And then it was.
I actually didn't see it. I want to.
I've not seen it yet either.
I would very much like to see it.
But yeah, I definitely want to go see it. But I was surprised, even in this time period. Like I think we've gone past that horrific era. It was like 2 years, but like that was still made like last year. But obviously success and everyone enjoyed it. Mm-hmm. But again, if it was made badly, would that have had a different reaction?
Yeah, it's one of those things. It
had to have been made well. Was there anything else you want to say for you, Inglourious Bastards?
No, I think that's it.
Another one that I had was Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. I don't know if you've... this was... If you think Jim Carrey is just the comedy, massive facial expression changes, like over-the-top guy, this is the film that I'd change your opinion on. Obviously, he is that guy because that's a lot of his roles. But this was a very drama-based role, a very... like it would change how you see him, and I think it won. I think he either won an Oscar or the film won an Oscar. But it's about a guy who, after splitting up with his girlfriend, he chooses to. It's set a bit in the future,
right.
And he chooses to use a machine that's going to wipe his memory of her, of all the time with her, after she's done the same to him. So she's gone to this machine, gone to this service, wipes memories of him, and he's gone to the same service to get rid of memories of her.
Yeah. And
the story goes through him inside his own mind, like going through all these situations of meeting her, falling in love, how it broke down. It's a really interesting film.
Jesus, it sounds heavy.
It's a heavy one, but it's a really interesting one, and it really shows Jim Carrey as a better actor than I think, because I think he gets a lot of like from people who are not into that into his normal kind of comedy, is like physical comedy, like Liar Liar and stuff like, and The Mask. Mm-hmm. People who are not into that seem to have like a bit of hate for him. Like I think a lot of people dislike him because they're not into that, and that's people's opinions. So people's opinions. But I think a lot of people would change their mind if they saw this, because it's something completely on a different spectrum to what he normally does. And again, another deep one, but one of the best films of that year.
Bit of a different one. I remember when it first came out, in 2008, Slumdog Millionaire.
Yep.
Was that the first big major Bollywood film that I would say that I can remember?
Is Bollywood just an Indian produced film? Like I don't really know. I'm not too clever on it either, but I remember when it came out, it was huge. Yeah, it was massive. It was a massive film. It was a good film as well. Again, do you want to describe?
I don't know. Personally, I wasn't the biggest fan of it. It wasn't my favourite film.
So the film's again, not seen the film in ages, so specific national. But I'm just saying about nationality is like, because there's so many in like India, so I'm gonna say Indian for generic reasons because I can't remember. But I'm saying like it's about an Indian guy who goes on their version of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, and as he's going through the questions are like triggering memories of him growing up with two other people, his brother, or what seems to be his brother, and this girl who then becomes his love interest. And as he goes through the questions, it goes in flashbacks, and it's a really good film. It's like a life story of him, and then comes to present time and how that stuff, and that's the go of the film. But it's really well produced and really interesting story. Those sort of films I really like the flashback ones.
Things.
It's really good.
I think they're very hit and miss though. The flashback.
Yeah, you can get it wrong, but I feel like a lot of the feel like we've mentioned a few of them here. Like a lot of the good ones do have that sort of trope, don't they?
Yeah. Oh, I can't remember. I was watching a film once. It's just when you're watching a film and it has a flashback. Then when it goes back to normal life, you know it's a good film if you forget it was in a flashback.
Yeah.
I've done that a few times where I've gone, I forgot this was a flashback. And it's like, it must be signed for a good film.
Another one that's it's funny because I think these next three I'm not sure you'll have watched actually, but the one is The Prestige, which is another Christopher Nolan one, which is about two magicians who are like trying to compete with each other. That's sort of it, but there's a bigger story behind it to do with like it's a hard one to describe, but I'll just say it's one of the best films out there, and it's got probably one of the best twist endings in all of cinema. I can't really describe much more without spoiling stuff, but I'd say just check out Prestige 2006 with Hugh Jackman and Christian Bale, and like this,
Big cast though.
Yeah, and
big two actors though. Big two.
Oh yeah, there was good actors in it. Yeah, I can't go too much into it without spoiling stuff on it.
I've got a few kidsy films to name.
Kidsy films.
I'm going to just go reel them off. Monsters Inc.
Mm-hmm.
That was a pretty big childhood favourite.
I think they're bringing out a sequel now as well. I know they did University,
they
but
have done, I believe.
They did University, but I think they're bringing out a sequel to the original, like after the first one.
Yeah, well, it's a bit of a childhood favourite of mine, Monsters Inc. I used to remember watching it as a kid all the time.
Yeah, I remember it.
Another childy one, Shrek.
Oh, of course.
Of course.
I've not heard
All-Star.
I
couldn't resist mentioning it.
All-Star's like the meme music now.
It is.
But it's not heard Michael Myers. What? From Halloween? What's he called?
You're right.
What's he called? The actor?
Oh God.
It's like similar to Michael Myers, isn't it?
Mike Myers.
Oh, so it is Mike Myers then. But yeah, that's the same name as the guy from Halloween though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so I was just going over it for nothing. I've not heard in anything for a good while. Anyway, Shrek, like, I found like Shrek 2 was, I think like, at least in England, like that was everyone's like childhood.
Don't know how far-reaching its audience was. But.
And then Shrek 2, I think that's one of the best like sequel films as well. And then they went a bit too long. I don't know. I enjoy all four films to be honest.
Yeah, so did I. But, all sequels are so they tend to falter eventually.
This is actually a funny thing. Do you remember the number 4, the Forever After?
Yes,
sort of. Right?
Sort of.
I got really hung up on that film because during the film, like Rumpelstiltskin creates this fabricated world because Shrek signs the contract, doesn't he?
Right, yeah.
And then at the end, true love, blah blah blah, gets a kiss, and then it all reverts back.
Yeah.
That's like, I got really hung up on that because I was just like, all these people in this like parallel universe, like they helped you out.
Yeah.
And then they just got flicked out of existence. I thought that was harsh as anything. And that's me thinking too deep into it. But I was just like, wow, that's really harsh.
Used and abused.
Pretty much. Like, got to like Fat Puss in Boots and all the other ones, and they've just gone, okay, we've helped you out, so it's like, and then gone.
Denied.
Oh yes, I thought. Anyway, carry on. That's just my existential crisis with that.
Last kids one is Finding Nemo.
Oh yeah.
Good old classic fan. I think there's not really much more to say on Finding Nemo.
Dad loses kid, tries to find
kid.
Yes.
Before kid gets flushed down the toilet.
Yes.
And killed by menacing dentist child.
Yes. And then they brought out Finding Dory, didn't they, afterwards? Which I didn't.
I never saw that.
I saw it. It was.
It
was alright. It was again one of those like feeding off childhood nostalgia.
People stop beating the dead horse.
Another one was 2001, Donnie Darko.
I had that down, but I never saw it. So I only had that down because it was such a big name.
Yeah. So this was, I think, like Jake Gyllenhaal's like introduction to. But then again, it wasn't just about him. It was the film itself, which was really good. Another good psychological one to do a lot with how the mind works and psychology and this guy's like depressive episode, and it brings a bit of like sci-fi into it as well. But I think it's got a massive cult following now. That's why I think you might have heard of it, like it's so famous. But it's a really good one if you're interested into psychological stuff.
Yeah. Got a few. I have one down. It's a pretty big one actually that I'm surprised you've not mentioned yet. Casino Royale, 2007.
Reintroduction of Bond.
Yeah, I personally really enjoyed that film.
Yep.
I think people gave it quite a bit of stick.
I mean, everyone's going to give something a bit of stick. I personally think Casino Royale is the best Bond film ever made, in terms of realism.
Yeah, for me, Casino Royale was probably the best one out of the new ones. Like this, I think it was a film like the last two, but
Casino Royale still beats them, but it was like everything was realistic, everything you could believe. But Daniel Craig's been the only because prior to Daniel Craig, it was all a bit like we're talking about superheroes. Everything was a bit campy. It was a bit there was a bit of comedy about it, like rockets in your shoes,
that's what I mean. It's a bit more like, don't get me wrong, there was still a bit of gadget in there, but it wasn't too.
But it was real,
much to not believe.
I mean, it started off in black and white with him like putting a guy's head into a sink or something like that, didn't it? That was when you were just like, oh, this isn't the normal Bond as we'd seen previously. But yeah, that like reignited. I know he's been doing it because that's what year was that?
2007.
And his last one's coming out this year, so he's been doing it 13 years through 5 films: Casino Royale, Quantum of Solace, Skyfall, Spectre, and This No Time to Die. So yeah, 5 films. He's done alright on it.
I never saw Spectre. I didn't see it.
It was alright. It was better than all of them were better than Quantum of Solace. I didn't really like Quantum of Solace.
So I've seen Skyfall, but I can't really remember it all too well. But I don't particularly be a massive fan of it.
It wasn't the best. The villain was good. I enjoyed the guy's the villain guy.
Yeah. What's he called?
I don't. He's Javier something, or that might be the villain's name.
Oh wait.
No. But yeah, and then Spectre I enjoyed, but I felt like they wasted what's his name, Christopher Waltz, who played Hans Landa in Inglourious Bastards. He played Blofeld, who was like the classic Bond supervillain. Right. And I think they sort of wasted him a little bit because he was the main villain, but I didn't think he was. He did as much as the script allowed him to, but I feel he could have done more because he's such an amazing actor.
Yeah. Just quickly going off topic, just for 2 seconds, while we're on James Bond, they've announced they've released not released the soundtrack, but they've released the
opening
song.
Yeah. No time.
The opening, sorry, for the new Bond film. Gave it to
Billie Eilish.
Billie Eilish, yeah. He was very, very young, but it's a big responsibility.
Yeah. I didn't know anything about it.
Did you not before?
No, I thought because I brought this. The song hadn't come out when I did the last one with Ryan, but we talked about it. And I didn't know who Billie Eilish was. I'd seen her on Twitter, obviously, but I hadn't heard any of her music.
American, I think she's like 18 now.
She's 18.
her and her brother write the music. So
yeah, I read into her a little bit after that podcast just because I wanted to be a bit more up to speed because of the James Bond stuff. And
yeah, a brother for me, a brother's quite influential. But no, I think she's done a good job of it.
Yes, from what I've seen, I've not listened to a lot of her music to be honest, but from what
very you either love it or hate it. I think for their music.
Yeah, I like her character. From what I've read, I like her character. She doesn't seem to like care much about people's things. So
yeah, no, she doesn't. She's very. I like her.
So I like as a person from what I've read, but I'm not listening to much of her music. But yeah, she's. I think she sang at the Brits, didn't she?
Yeah.
I know she released it prior, but that was when she sang it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just had to slide that one in.
Yeah. And then last one I've got is one called Spirited Away, which is a anime film or Japanese animation film by Studio Ghibli, which I think a lot of people may or may not know about because Studio Ghibli is quite a well-known film who did like Howl's Moving Castle, obviously Spirited Away, and it's rated as like one of the best films ever made, but especially one of the best animated films ever made. And it's... I don't really want to describe it. I'd say go and have a look into it, like, because animation itself, like, especially Japanese animation, people have a lot of ideas thinking that it's for kids, and it's really not, and people won't give it a chance. But I think if you're interested in that sort of thing, go check it out because I think anyone who's even interested in it will already know about it. But it's an amazing film, and I think a lot of people should check it out and get away from the stigma that it's because it's animated that it's for kids, because the topics really aren't.
Yeah, personally, I've tried with anime and I just can't do it. It's not my thing.
It's not. No, it's not for. I'm not saying it's for everyone. I'm just saying a lot of people don't give it that chance.
My last one is also an animated film, out of pure chance. WALL-E.
WALL-E.
Yeah. If you don't know what that film is, that'll give it away.
That'll give it away. If you never think it's going to trigger...
Sorry, if you can't remember what that film is, that'll have given it away. Bit of a futuristic animated film.
Yeah, so that's about like a junk robot. Like it's like on planet... Go on.
It's a junk robot, isn't it? From the go. I can't remember, was it all go up in that cruise ship?
Yeah, so like planet Earth is basically what it's going to now. The world's covered in rubbish and such like. So what people decide is we have to go on this cruise slash rocket ship.
Well, we clean the Earth up.
Well, the robots clean up, and one of these robots, WALL-E, is one that's cleaning up all the mess and trying to bring in new life. So he finds a plan and then sods off to the cruise slash spaceship to try and let them know, and everyone on the ship's gone fat as hell because they don't have to do anything on the ship. Everything's catered for them because everything's automated and such like. But it's interesting.
It's an animated film with a very heavy message really embedded into it,
and from a long time ago as well. Like not even nowadays, where everything's got like a little political message like tagged on the end.
2008 it was. Kickstarted that trend really, didn't it, I suppose.
Yeah, but it's a really good film. Like it's a good, like it's a kid film really, but like adults can enjoy it as well.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's a good film.
It's one of the very few animated films I enjoy, because I don't personally. I'm not a massive fan of animated films. It really was. Even as a kid, there was only a few like Monsters Inc. that I liked.
Yeah,
but
they're good.
Yeah, it was a good film.
You have any more?
No, that's all I've got on my list.
I'm sure there'll be plenty of others that we've missed.
Loads that we've missed.
And worst case now, we'll just do another one of the ones that we've missed.
There could potentially be a part 2. We'll see. We'll see.
But until then, thank you very much for listening. If you'd like to leave a review, that would help us out immensely. And on social media at Twitter @What'sOnPodcast, YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram at the What's On Podcast. And thank you very much for listening.